Well, welcome back to the In Good Company podcast, where we believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. Truth be told, we were watching an episode of this podcast last night, and my son wanted me to do the intro over and over and over again last night. So that thing is really burned into my soul at this point. So sorry for all of our listeners that didn't ask for that little tidbit. But today's episode is going to be absolutely amazing. It's been the honor of a lifetime to have entrepreneurs like yourself right here at this table to just chat through your story. And again, if you're watching and if you have an idea or maybe you have a skill set where it's not being fully utilized in your current job, but you really have this dream that you want to pursue, I cannot think of a better guest to have to really talk about that journey from start to where you are today. It's not start to finish because we are not finished up in here. So without further ado, Taylor, welcome to the pod, my brother.
Dude, thanks for having me. Yeah,
absolutely,
honored
man.
to be here, truthfully.
Yeah, likewise, man. And we were laughing because your sister and I actually went to school together. Went to St. John Fisher.
Oh, Christine.
We were, yeah.
No way.
Yeah, dude. Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No. We went to like a Jamaica community service trip together.
You were on that trip with her?
Yes, bro.
Wow.
I know. So
Wow.
anyway, I just want to drop that on the pod so that you were shocked. You know.
I am.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute.
Way to throw that in there.
But tell us, for those that don't know your story, give us a little bit of a rundown of where did you grow up? What do you do now, and where did that come from?
Yeah, dude. So I actually grew up in Wayne County.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you hear that little Wayne County accent, I apologize in advance.
I love it.
Yeah. Went to Gananda High School, if you know where that is. But yeah, I'm currently a full-time wedding photographer, and it truthfully was never a career that I ever anticipated going in full-time, because there was always that fear of like, nah, I can't get consistent clients, the consistent income, all that, all those fear-driven things that just inhibit you from pursuing something that you actually do love and you're called to do. But so like before that, I was just pursuing careers of business. I went to school for business, and my mom and my sister also went to school for business, and they were in the business realm in some different capacities. So I felt like that was what I was supposed to do. And so I did it for, 5-6 years. And then after that, I was like, I just don't enjoy this anymore. And so my wife's like, well, let's go back to school for teaching. You always talked about it. So I was like, all right, cool. And the interesting thing is that I was a wedding photographer just part-time. I did my first wedding back in like 2017. And it was a really cool experience. I was like, cool, some side cash, like it's fun. I could just do this once in a while.
Yep.
And then over time, I just started to do more and more of it. And I'm like, this is cool. It's just slowly building, getting more referrals here and there. And like, I'll just take on what I can. And then I went to, school for teaching, and then did it for 2 years. And then I quit. And I would never look back. And my wife and I always joke, she laughs at it now, but didn't at the moment.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
I went to, I had to pay for this education program out of pocket. I was a class speaker at graduation, and now it's like, I'm not even doing it anymore. It's like, I'm hoping that like, all of my college professors are like, cool, you went to school.
They're like, thanks, bro, for royally wasting our time. Yeah. Well, so talk about that, because I know that it's a story in the past now, so you can kind of like fly over that and go like, yeah, so I quit.
Yeah.
But like that process, I've got to imagine there's a lot of people that are listening right now that are teetering with the idea, or maybe they have this side hustle thing where they're making some extra cash and they're like, can I really turn that into a business? Like, no, I'll just stay put.
Yeah.
And then they blink and all of a sudden they're in their 40s and they're working at a job that they hate with dreams that are dormant inside of them.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about the actual like gut-wrenching decision that you had to make.
Yeah.
Did you have stuff lined up? Did you just kind of do the free bird jump? Like, what was the deal?
Yeah. So there are 3 words that I needed to really focus on when I made this jump. It was time, confidence, and support. So the time piece of it is knowing that if I have this time to dive in full time, I can make this great. Because right now I'm doing this in the evenings, on the weekends, and that's inhibiting on family time too.
Yeah.
The confidence piece, you have to have that confidence going into this career that you want to jump into, this entrepreneurial journey that you want to jump into. Because, anytime you lack confidence, how are you going to make it happen?
Yeah.
You don't have confidence in yourself, confidence in your abilities. And you have to have not just support financially, you have to have support from the people that are around you to go into it. So I was in a position where I had a business that was growing over time, but my bookings were solid. I'm getting all these inquiries. My business is like thriving in this moment where this transition is happening. But I was also in the mindset, I'm like, I need to set myself up for success before I make this jump. So it was like simple, boring things like, oh, have an emergency fund set up for 6 months to support yourself financially. Yep. But it was also knowing that my wife's got my back in this. You know, if I was just like a single man, that would probably been a little easier to jump in and be like, I have no kids, I have no responsibilities, but I had to like think about that too. But honestly, what made me not stress about the jump was that I knew I could be good at this.
Yeah.
And if I went all in, and I went all in hard, I'm like, I got this. And that's what I had to tell my wife too. And she had my support. I had her support, and it was worth it, 100%. I would do it over and over again because the freedom that it's brought our family has been tremendous.
Yeah.
Because it's like that idea of choosing your regret. Are you going to regret this decision of not jumping? Or are you going to have the least regret in this decision, knowing there is the possibility it could fail, but you know it was still worth the jump?
Yeah. It's really scary.
Yeah.
There's not to get too churchy on you, but
you're good, man.
There's a scripture in the Bible where Jesus dies on the cross. He's in the tomb.
Yep.
And Mary Magdalene walks up to the tomb and she sees that the stone has been rolled away. And the Bible says these two words where it says that she leaves and she was afraid, yet filled with joy.
Mm-hmm. I love that.
So she's walking away, she's afraid, but her whole being is filled with joy. And when I think about entrepreneurship, when I think about anything that's been valuable in my life, there's been a little bit of fear, and yet I've been filled with joy. And I think your story, bro, is time and time again, just to be clear, yes, it's one jump, but then there's another one. Then there's another one. Then there's another one.
Yeah. Talk
about, again, the 3 principles you just broke down are brilliant. And I hope that you guys are taking that with you. I certainly am. I think there's a decision moment that when you overcome the first thing, now you actually can look back and say, I've done this before. I've slayed this giant before. So now the confidence piece, like you mentioned, I have the confidence that I can do this again. Have there been any, we do a topic here called fails of the week. Have there been any like hurdles or fails that you're like, I don't even want to share this. I'm so embarrassed by what happened. And this could be something as silly as like you shot a whole wedding and the SD card didn't work or whatever. Yeah. Just any kind of story that's like, oof, this is a fail.
Yeah. I've shared this before on another podcast, and it's just one of those gut-wrenching moments as a photographer, and any photographer or anybody listening in that has to record something on some type of card, like you talked about. It's like your worst nightmare. And it was at this wedding, super cool couple, a few years ago. And I get home. I'm like,
I'm so excited about this.
I'm like pumped. This wedding was so fun. Like everyone just was excited. There was so much emotion on this day. Like all the feels were all over the place. Like the parents, the dances, just the emotional moments I was able to document this day were unmatched. And everyone was just so happy. Like I really just would relive that day again with them. So I'm like getting home excited to like go through these photos and everything. So I started downloading the photos off the one card and get to the next card, and it's nothing's showing. Nothing's showing. I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, maybe it was this other card. I was like, no, that's from a different wedding.
Oh, no.
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay. I'm just like going through my head. And the wild part was the fear in me was like, I'm going to come up with all these other excuses to make myself not look like this is my fault. Because I'm like, I don't want that to be a judgment on how other people are going to potentially book me for their future weddings. But obviously, you know how reacting to emotion can really hurt you.
Really? I'm kidding.
Yeah, you're like, wow, I haven't heard that before. But so I'm like sitting there, I'm like, oh, crap. I'm missing all of their open dance floor photos and the sparkler exit that they were so pumped about and that was so good. And I'm sitting there thinking, what am I going to do in this moment? How am I going to tell this couple that? And I tried to do everything. I sent this card into a company to try to like fix it, restore the images back. But they're like, you know, I paid all this money to like try to get this card fixed and these photos fixed, and there was no hope. So I'm like,
bro, my heart is racing out of my chest.
Dude, it was, yeah, I that's exactly how I felt. Like when
like your heart is
like, that was like a whole 2 weeks for me trying to figure out how am I going to tell this couple that from this moment on of the wedding day, there's nothing on my end. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is going to be a really hard, uncomfortable conversation. And that was one of those hurdles that I had to figure out how to jump over without it being a detriment to my character. And so I sat there thinking like, oh, I could say it fell out of my camera bag and my kid stepped on it. Or I could say, oh, my wife accidentally ran it through the washer because it was in my pocket, you know, thinking of all these excuses of how I can like protect myself. But I'm like, I know I would choose that wrong regret in that moment. And so I was like, I texted the bride, I was like, hey, hope you guys are doing well. Like wedding photos are looking great, but can I call you? I have to tell you something. And so set up the conversation and I was like, I'm just going to be fully transparent with you. And I'm like, I know this sucks to hear and I hate it so much, but from this point of your wedding, your photos are gone. However, the cool thing was, yes, she was devastated, of course. But in that moment, it was how are you going to respond to go above and beyond for them?
Yep.
And so in that moment, what I did is like, I'm so sorry. Like I truly tried everything that I could to fix these photos for you because I know how important they were to you because they're important to me. But in that moment, I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to give you your money back for these hours that were not given to you. And I would also love to provide you a wedding album on top of that. Like totally complimentary. Like you can pick whatever type of cover you want, all this stuff. And I was grateful because they received it well and they knew how I felt in that moment. And also they were just super chill. So I know that helped a lot too. But in the end, it was honestly just being honest and professional and caring.
Yeah.
Really made all the difference because they even said, we appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
It sucked. I'm not going to lie. I still hate that happened. And I wish I can go back and fix it. But it was one of those moments where like, if this happens again, I know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do everything I can to inhibit it from happening. But it was weird because it was both SD cards. The dual stock camera. Like, what the frick? This has never happened. It's never happened since. Don't use that camera anymore, though. I'll tell you that much.
I was just going to ask, what has the follow-up anxiety been like at every wedding since?
Honestly, like, it's one of those things where, like, if it's out of my control, it's out of my control.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go home immediately, download it to my 3 external hard drives, 2 that go into my fireproof and waterproof safe, you know, and one is my, my working one. But like, so I do everything I can to inhibit from it happening. But yeah, dude, I'm like, if it happens, I can't control the malfunction of equipment. And that's where it's like, I have to release that. Yeah. You know, because yes, there's a fear of it, but what are you going to do? Yeah.
I appreciate you bringing it up because owning your life, owning your story, I think a lot of times when you're an entrepreneur and you finally do make that jump, and this isn't always the healthiest thing, by the way, but this is what happens. A lot of your identity becomes the business that you're building.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's not healthy. I don't recommend this, but that can happen where now if something fails in the business, now you wear that and you go, I'm a failure. Maybe I can't actually do this. Maybe I'm not cut out to run this business. Did you have any of those type of thoughts that went through your mind around, back to the hurdle conversation that we had before, you make that initial jump? Did you have any of that type of like internal discourse of like, man, am I enough for this? Am I good enough?
Yeah. Oddly enough, no.
Excellent.
And now it's because it goes back to that confidence piece, that certain things are going to be out of my control, but it's how you handle those moments is what's going to really determine your path forward.
I was hoping you would say that. For those that are listening, I want to implore you that if you have failed once, twice, 10 times, 1,000 times, welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship is about failing forward. It's about learning. And the most important part that you said, integrity matters. If you can't do something, say it at the point of agreement, not at the point of delivery.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're the CEO of a business. CEO has the most liability on them.
Yeah.
So even though if you're a solopreneur, all liability is still on you.
Yeah.
So you have to treat it that way. I mean, it's also, going even back to if you're married, if there are no hard conversations at any point over like the first year, first couple of years, first 5 years of your marriage, there's something deep that is
a
not
storm's a brewing.
Yeah. Like something's not being handled, or maybe you guys are just like perfect or whatever. But there's you also have to like lead in every aspect of your life in some capacity.
Yeah.
Whether you're a business owner, whether you're a husband, parent, even for your friends, like there has to be some type of that liability that's on you.
Yeah.
That you have to understand that's something important that you have to handle.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pressure in that seat, right? And I think it's important for other people to also know, like, what are some ways that you take care of yourself in the midst of kind of a high pressure job like that?
Yeah.
And even, bro, when we can get into this, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings, but it's like,
oh, you're good.
I'm sure you've experienced all the bridezillas of the world, the people that are just so over your shoulder and, hey, like, did you get the first couple pictures that you can send? Because we're trying to do a little Instagram post. Then they screenshot it and it's not even the highest quality and it just totally derails your life. But how do you manage that and not have that just completely overtake you? Like, what are some practices or principles that you have in your day to day that really help keep you sane?
Yeah. Truthfully, first thing is devotion.
Yeah.
Jesus is a big part of my life and the most important part of my life. So spending that time with him, whether it's in the morning in a car ride where I'm listening to like a devotional on a podcast.
Yep.
Finding that separate time. It's also finding time to take care of my body, my temple. So I people probably call me one of those CrossFit junkies, but I go do CrossFit 6 days a week and I freaking love it.
I love it.
But it's important because I feel good. Like when I'm putting it in my body, how I'm taking care of my body keeps me alive and fresh, so that I can also do my job well, and I also can take care of my family well, and have the energy to like play with my kids, go out with my wife, all those things. And also with the company in general, in the beginning, you are taking any clients that you can get just to build a portfolio and to build just the business itself.
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I'm like, I don't care who I'm taking on. I just need work, So I always think the interesting part is, the lower you charge, the more they feel like they have control. So, I was taking those barnyard, nothing against barnyard weddings, not like hating on them, but those are typically lower budget weddings.
Yeah.
So there was a lot more control on there that they felt like they had because I was charging $800 for a wedding. But once you build your business and have that confidence, all of that trust comes back.
I want
to the fact
I want to harp on this
Yeah.
This is like, I want to sit in this for a second.
Do it. Let's do it.
How do you make up your prices? Right.
Yeah.
Because this is a conversation. You open this, so this is your fault. When you start, I'm absolutely taking anybody and everybody. I'm showing up places. I'm like, dude, do you guys want a free video shoot?
Yeah.
I think my first social media management contract was like, for $300, I'll do a post every day. I mean, just like disgusting. I mean, it was whatever.
You're like, why did I do that? Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it was just this moment of, all right, like we got to get out there.
Yeah.
At what point did you transition from, hey, we're going to take everybody, to this is my worth.
Yeah.
This is the value. And how did you kind of make that decision, ultimately peel that Band-Aid off?
It would probably be about maybe like the 4th year I was doing photography, because in the beginning I was only taking 10 weddings a year because of time with family and stuff like that. And the fact that I was working a full-time job. But once I started to transition to do more of it, it was also the avoidance of headaches, future potential lawsuits that could happen because you're just working with a really challenging client. So I wanted to focus then on my ideal client and also the client experience, so that the ideal client helped transform what I wanted my client experience to be. Who are the people that I love to work with? Who are the type of clients that are going to fully trust me? And that also helped determine what I was going to charge, But what's funny, dude? Like, I have so many of my photographer friends, and you can tell me you're mad at me for this. I don't care. So many of my photographer friends are like, dude, you got to raise your prices.
Oh yeah.
You got to raise your prices. I'm like, I know, I could, but I love where I'm at. I still make a great living off the prices I'm at, but I'm also at the point where my clients are incredible.
Yeah.
I loved every single couple that I work with. They fully trust me. They're cool people. They love their families. They have good values. They're hardworking. And I can pick those people. If I see any red flags from any inquiring couple, deuces. Even on a call.
Yeah.
I've had calls where, like, at the end, I'm like, I'm not a good fit for you. Because I know you're going to be a real big headache. And I don't want that. But, like, yeah. So my pricing, honestly, is based on first, where we live. What people can actually pay.
Yep.
But it's also based on the fact that clients get so excited that they see the value of my work and the experience that I bring, and they don't have to gag and fear the price.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I still make good money. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not inhibited by that, but I love to know that I can bring a great experience without them feeling like they have to cut their arm off.
Well, everybody knows that the wedding industry skyrockets prices.
Dude, it is crazy.
And it's only getting worse. I know it's not local, but we're in a wedding in Nashville, my wife and I, this year. My buddy, hopefully he's not listening. They're like well into six figures right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
not uncommon.
Okay. That's are you going to pay me to be there? That'd be awesome. If
Dude, also, like, that sucks for you.
Dude.
Like, aren't you glad we got married when we did?
Bro, downtown Rochester, the Hyatt. I was like,
oh, dude,
great.
That's where Christine got married too.
Beautiful.
Yeah, look at that.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
But, dude, that's a very unique moment for people, I think, and back to the integrity stuff you were talking about before, because I've had even like consultants and people in my world that say, hey, if we get clients that we don't necessarily want, we'll do one of two things. We'll either say no, or we will pitch this astronomically large budget, which I don't really know the integrity thing there. I mean, it's an interesting conversation.
It'll make it worth it for you.
We will pitch it very high, and then they ultimately get to decide.
Huh.
And I've had people that, like, and again, just a little secret sauce for a second, like, let's say you have a value of something for $2,500. You really don't want to do a project because the guy's going to require some more time, and you say this is going to be 10 grand.
Yeah.
If he says yes, all right.
Sweet.
If he says no, you were going to say no anyway, so let it ride. Again, I don't know your thoughts on that, but it's interesting.
But that works for you.
Sure.
Cool. Because you have to, like, because there is that value piece of it of, I know you're going to be more time. I know it's going to be potentially more headaches. So you have to account for that too, but it's also comes back to like them trusting you for what you're going to provide them. So, and the thing is too, is one of my buddies, his name is, I'm going to give him a shout out, Josh Barnum with Barnum Films, not just an incredible videographer, wedding videographer, but just a good dude. And we've become really good friends, but he gifted me this book. I was mentioning it to you.
Yeah.
It's called The Go-Giver, and just the principles in it really just help affirm my decisions and how I want to take care of people, how I want to serve people.
Yep.
And I love one of the principles in it. It talks about just even the money aspect of it. It says your income is not just based on how many people you serve, but on how well you serve them.
It's great. Yep.
And I'm like, boom, right there.
Yeah.
And I love to be able to create that experience for them that they're just like, this was awesome.
Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
One of the other transitions that I think are just worth noting, and then we'll dive into the rapid fire questions, but there's this transition also that happens when you're a solopreneur. Like you have a skill, you have a camera, you jump on your own, and you're like, cool, I got this. Then there becomes this scalability question. Do I want to be a solopreneur forever, or do I want to grow this into a business with a team, with payroll, with, like whatever it ends up being?
Yeah.
Where are you at in that process?
Yeah. Okay.
And is it different than maybe what you thought when you first jumped out?
Yeah. I definitely at first was like, I'm going to build this like big team. Like this is going to be awesome. Like I'm going to be the photographer of Rochester. But then as I continued to invest into this whole time, I took a step back and was like, does that actually match in connect with the values that I want for my life, for my family, for my faith, for my time? And it wasn't. So truthfully, I love being a solopreneur, and I plan to have that be something for me for as long as I can do this.
Amazing.
I'll contract people all day.
Oh yeah.
Like all my second shooters, all my associate photographers, love them. They're all incredible, but they're all contracted base.
Yeah.
So I just pay them their flat rate, send them their fun little 1099s.
Yeah.
End of the year. Those are good times. But I love having the freedom and control of not having to have somebody else to lead.
Yeah.
In that realm.
It's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's a lot of pressure that's maybe unspoken with social media and, the rise of follower counts and, hey, look at how big my business is and like, look at how well we're doing. And I think the real question, and you answered it, is like, are you trying to build something for the approval of others? Mm-hmm. Or are you building something because it's your God-given mandate and really your deposit on humanity, right?
So good.
So you've reconciled that and you understand, hey, this is my lot. Like this is where I'm going to build. And I think the beauty of that, and you alluded to this, is that instead of just serving thousands of people in a really shallow way, you get to hand select and serve people deeply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's so much more value in that, especially in the long run.
Yeah.
Yep. People are going to remember you for that, for sure.
Yeah. Our marketing agency, very similar, started as a solopreneur. And I think from scalability would be the wrong word, but to really serve the clients well, similar environment though, I said, I don't know all this. All of the aspects of marketing, there's so many things. And so for me, it was this humility step of, I don't necessarily want to blow up this huge business, but I do want to provide the solutions that my clients are asking for.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to fake it and go figure it out. I'm going to say, who's the best drone videographer in Rochester? And he's going to go to that commercial construction shoot and he's going to shoot that drone. Because I'm not going to buy one and freaking be out there with my 5-year-old son, trying to figure out, right?
Yeah.
But those concepts in scaling for me have actually been out of necessity as opposed to maybe the vision that I had, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so now that I am scaling and we do have a team, it's actually been incredibly rewarding to see that, man, these people, they don't have to do those other pieces. They can stick to their craft and they can serve people well within this context, which has been really cool.
Dude, that's really cool. Yeah. It's taking those steps to bring that value to those that you're serving.
For sure.
Yeah. and it's different.
Do you have any projects that you're like, you look back and you don't need to say their names because then it'll make other people feel bad that you didn't choose them. Any projects or location specific shoots that you look back on and you're like, bro, that was just majestic. Like that was unbelievable.
I have two different ones for two different reasons. First one, I'll go to just this experience I had for a destination wedding in Mexico. It was like this cultural Indian wedding, but it was also a Christian one too at the same time. Okay. So like the groom's family was the Indian side and the bride's family was the Christian side. But dude, the coolest experience I've ever seen was I don't know if you've ever attended an Indian wedding.
No, I've seen videos and stuff. Yeah,
it's the coolest thing ever. Probably some of my favorite. I love the cultural weddings. There's just so much significance to it, and but there's this thing called the barat, and I'm probably saying it wrong. But the groom, before the ceremony starts, he is coming down on a white horse, and everybody except for like the bride and like the bride's parents are just celebrating with him down as they approach the ceremony site.
Whoa.
I mean, there is music, there is drums, there is dancing, and just being in the midst of that, like I'm like, they are truly celebrating. Like it isn't just to show off or to be able to show these photos and be like, this is like, look what we did. Like it's a cultural significance, and it's a true, genuine celebration of these two becoming one together.
Whoa.
And it was just like a wild experience to be able to be part of that. And I'm like, man, I will never forget that experience. So that was the experience of that moment itself. But one wedding I will go back to, and I love this couple dearly. I have photographed them ever since they started having kids and everything too. But this was like a pivotal moment in my ability to be able to photograph more of like what people consider like the upscale weddings in Rochester. And this was actually at the Hyatt. So,
all right.
Yeah. So, but this couple found me because Man's Jewelers posted some photos of engagement photos that I did for my cousin and his now
Love
wife.
it.
And so this couple found me from that, but they gave me a chance. I never did like a wedding that was at like what would be considered like a really great venue in Rochester. But this wedding itself was a pivotal moment of my career to be able to then start doing more of that.
Yeah.
Because this couple gave me a chance. And the wedding itself was incredible. The couple itself is so sweet. I mean, I did his brother's wedding, and then his wife I've done so many of their friends' weddings. And it's just goes back to that experience that you give them.
Oh, bro, 100%. And I know this is such a overused quote, but it's like people will never remember what you do. They'll remember how you made them feel.
Yeah.
And I think that especially in the wedding industry, for you to be on site with someone and I know you wouldn't look at it this way, but it's like you're in a room full of potential leads.
Oh, I do.
Okay.
I do. Like that's the thing is like,
you're like, oh yes, sir, I do.
I am not just serving this couple. I am serving their parents.
There you go.
Serving their closest family and friends. And I'm also being witnessed by everybody that's there because I'm all around. Like they're seeing me work. And so I'm like, if I can treat not just the couple well, but everyone else involved, there's so much more value you can bring.
The DJ, the officiant, whoever, because they're going places, they're connecting with people.
Yep.
Yeah, dude, I think that's spot on. And that's in any industry, man. I think, and your best salesman is a happy customer.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah. And everybody knows that, right? But I think to actually give them the experience that makes them a happy customer, makes them a brand promoter, a super fan, right? That is the goal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Rapid fire hot seat questions, bro. These are the ones you're going to get nervous about. I'm just going to rattle through just quick one word responses. You ready?
Ready.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
Are you a Canon or Sony guy or neither?
Canon.
How many cameras you got?
2.
All right. I love it.
Same cameras.
I love it. What is it? What's the camera?
R6 Mark II. The mirrorless, yeah.
I don't know why I asked because I don't know anything about cameras, but that's great. What's your favorite time of day to shoot?
About an hour and a half before sunset.
Beautiful. What's your go-to editing software?
It's Lightroom Classic, not Lightroom Now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could still use classic.
Oh yeah.
What's the most used phrase on set? Maybe this isn't as relevant.
That I say?
Yeah.
So good.
We should call this episode So Good.
We should. Because
So like, is it really good, or do you just keep saying that?
I just like, oh, that was so good. Oh, you guys doing so good. Oh, so good. I hear myself, and like sometimes when I record, it's just cringy, but you know.
What's the first camera that you've ever owned?
Oh, that was a T3i.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And what is one word that your friends or family would use to describe you?
That's a tough one. Because there's so many things I just want to say about myself right now, you know?
Oh, of course. Yeah. You have the mic.
I'm in control. I would just say personable.
Great.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And then one of my favorite questions, what are you most proud of?
So it can be anything.
Anything in your life.
Oh, wow. I'm just most proud of, truthfully, the life that we've created. And just my wife for being the rock to help me, support me in this business.
Love it.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks, man.
And I'm looking forward to, I mean, I got married 10 years ago, but maybe when we do our renewals and, you know, our kids get older, we'll call you, come.
I'd be honored.
It's very difficult to get my kids to sit still. All of our like Christmas photos, they just had like lollipops in the corner that she had to Photoshop out. So anyway, we'll talk about that after the podcast is over. But
I got you, bro.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of the In Good Company podcast, where we believe that the best parts in business happen in good company. Thanks so much.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks for listening to In Good Company. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. For more information or to connect with Mike, visit him online at thomasmediagroup.co or on Instagram at Michael L. Thomas. Thanks again for listening, and remember, the best of business happens in good company. We'll see you next time.